Yes guys, we are finally back again for another reaction on this BrBpTV, Be Real, Be Positive Television. Welcome to each and every one of you guys who tuned into another vibrations right there. And then guys, if you've not done so, definitely subscribe and turn on that post notification so you'll be notified when I drop my videos right there. And then guys, I'm about Miss Licks guys, and with that said, let us get into the vibrations for today right there. Now guys, this is an individual I did not know personally. However, he was part of the very first race that I actually did, the cycling race that I actually recorded on some years ago, and this is actually Bram. Unfortunately, he passed away as a result of an incident that took place in Antigua. It is with deep sadness MO News is saying that we announce the passing of 30-year-old Bram Kerr Sanderson of Wesley, who resided in Antigua. He actually passed away on Sunday, 13th August 2023. Further details and funeral arrangements will be given in a subsequent announcement right there. So of course, this is none other than Bram. And of course, Bram was indeed a very a good cyclist from my understanding of knowing him right there. Actually, was part of the very first cycling. I know there was an individual in the airport that I met. Big up to him. You guys tend to see him on my reaction, my vlog videos when I tend to go to the airport in Dominica, and he always big up the vibes and always want positivity and represents Liat very hard. So you know he is right there. And then of course, he was the one who helped organize this race and of course brought me in to film the whole situation involving the race. I tried to look for that video. I did not get it, unfortunately. But one thing I must point out, guys, I actually saw the incident that you know, resulted in his passing in Antigua, and I think I have it. If I have it, I'll show it to you guys. Okay guys, so I just got it right there, and this is the actual incident right there, brothers and sisters. This is in Antigua. Sunday, this is like 2 a.m. it seems, early morning. So guys, this is the bike right there. Okay, this is the bike, and there's a vehicle gonna be coming this way, and this is where it cool. It seems like the camera skipped a bit, and then you have the whole incident right there, brothers and sisters, resulting in a collision. And of course, the individual at the back ended up reaching right there, and of course Bram got, you know, so as you can see, something's moving right there, and as a result, but the individual there is doing much better. Unfortunately, Bram did not make it. So sympathies goes out to the family and friends of Bram. It's rather unfortunate that this took place. A very promising individual, full of skill, especially when it comes down to the riding industry. And I think he was the one who pretty much put Dominic on the map when it comes down to riding, bicycle riding right there in terms of races. And of course, the unfortunate situation that took place where he ended up losing his life. And an individual from Portsmouth I also know as well, Yaz. He is recovering. He actually messaged me the other day to tell me he's doing much better and he's doing fine and whatnot in that regard. So let's keep hoping and praying for the individual, and of course praying for his family right there in that regard. Sympathies goes out there, guys. Give this video a thumbs up for this young man right there, who has definitely been doing a wonderful job in terms of doing something positive. And of course, I'm guessing he had to leave Dominica to go to Antigua for whatever reason, and it's just unfortunate that this had to happen to him right there. Once again, sympathies goes out to the family and friends of this individual, and it was good to see him riding, man. And he had a massive lead, man. He had a massive lead. I remember when they took me on the vehicle and I was recording, and everybody was behind, man, and he was way in front, and I told them, no, turn back, let's go see if we can get the others on the camera. I wish I had that video right there. I think I posted it on my previous channel, the one Miss Productions channel, and I had to delete the channel as a result of the whole Rona situation. So you know, I think I maybe lost that video, or maybe I have it in an archive somewhere. Hopefully I can get to definitely put this up in remembrance of him right there. Anyways, brothers and sisters, like I said before, sympathies. Give this video a thumbs up for the achievement that he has done, and he has been winning races upon races, and you know, he's been doing his thing right there. Unfortunately, he ended at the age of 30. Okay, guys, anyways, we're moving on right there. There's something rather interesting that I have to point out. And this is actually where Antigua came in. The same Antigua came in and said acts of violence against journalists should never be allowed. The acting prime minister stated right there. I did not see anything from the government of Dominica. It's rather interesting that somebody else, an acting prime minister in another country, has to indicate that very same sentiment right there. Acts of violence against journalists should never be allowed. This is in regards to Khalid John Baptist's vehicle being, you know, I cannot say certain words for, you know, thing, but you will read it there. Acting Prime Minister Stedroy Benjamin says acts of violence against media personalities in Antigua and Barbuda and the wider Caribbean should never be allowed to happen. Benjamin made the statement during his keynote speech at the Caribbean Broadcasting CBU Union's 54th Annual General Assembly at the Royal Turn Resort in Antigua. Dominican journalist named Khalid John Baptist had his vehicle in that country, Dominica. This incident was allegedly related to the journalist's coverage of an arrest of a Dominican national in Antigua who was accused of illegal activities right there and then. So I agree with him. I'm making the statements. At least somebody's looking out for the journalists out there in not just Dominica but the Caribbean as well to make their sentiments. I did not hear the Prime Minister making any sentiment to condemn these things. I don't know if he did. You guys can let me know in the comment box below. But as a result of me not knowing anything, I can say at least somebody else is looking out for the journalists in Dominica. At least to make the statement towards their own people and say, hey, this is not allowed, to prevent it from happening. So I think that is a good thing on their part, but also to side with the journalists saying, hey, this should not have ever happened. Right there. Journalists tend to bring out the information. Some of them are gender-based. When individuals are not gender-based, we should try our best to preserve these individuals, brothers and sisters, not just to you know. And I understand sometimes we may say certain things about individuals in the journalistic sphere in Dominica who are quiet and refuse to ask certain questions, are afraid to ask questions about certain things. And this is one of the reasons why I don't understand why the Prime Minister wants to have press conferences and we only have a selective few and then say this is what the people are asking questions. No, they're not. They should have people like me there. I represent far more people than all the other journalists out there in Dominica. But hey, what do I know? You know, asking real questions is definitely something that is vital in Dominica. And of course, the Prime Minister wants to hold a press conference to say, hey, we look us out there, you know, but they're keeping certain journalists out. And the reason why I'm saying this, because a number of people out there actually watching my videos and wondering, hey, why is the press conferences and you're not there and this kind of things. They are keeping us out. That's why we are not there. They don't want us to ask the important questions that the people are asking, and then the Prime Minister come and say, hey, the reason why we're keeping these press conferences is so that the people can ask us certain questions, when that is not the case at all. It's very clear when they ask the Prime Minister about the very house that is building and asking him if it's his own, and he took offense to it. As if the people are not supposed to ask him these kind of questions. But anyways, brothers and sisters, it's vital where journalists are doing journalistic work. Okay? It's not just putting information out there and say, oh, no, brothers and sisters, you challenge the status quo. And asking the questions that are pertinent to the people. Look, I hear the Prime Minister talk about climate. We'll talk about it in a while, brothers and sisters. We'll talk about that in a while. But on the basis of this whole thing right there, brothers and sisters, this is what they stated right here. And I agree with the acting Prime Minister in Antigua for definitely at least taking a stand, even though our own people don't seem to be taking a stand for us when it happens in the very country that they are leading. It's interesting stuff right there. Anyways, brothers and sisters, moving on to another story right there. I saw this very interesting piece of artwork, and the reason why I'm calling it artwork, brothers and sisters, because there is some sort of new design on some fencing thing right there. And I say new design because nature is indeed something that is artistic. You know, nature is taking over what was once its own. Humans came to do things and then nature is taking it back. And the reason why nature has the ability to take it back, because people are not taking care of their own thing, and therefore nature has to come and say, okay, you know what, you're not taking care of your own thing, well, we'll take back what is ours. Brothers and sisters, this new design is on a fence right there, and you might be wondering where exactly this place is. You will know in a moment, brothers and sisters. According to this video, it's not just the vines growing on the fence, but the bush, brothers and sisters, is also taking over the place. And I don't want you guys to be shocked when you find out where exactly this is, but you will definitely find out on this here BrBpTV vibes. Bush everywhere. You think this is Jurassic Park or in the jungle, brothers and sisters? No. Look, more vines. There are more vines that are taken over there. More vines on fences, brothers and sisters. You want to know where this is? Okay, let me help you out. Never ever, this individual is saying right there, did I ever see the ground of a hospital or the hospital with such tall grass? Is that where the regime is preparing to create the new botanical gardens? It seems we have heard about the sentiment of the botanical gardens and what exactly is happening there, whether it's a golf course going up or not, or what exactly are they doing there. They're talking about beautifying the place, but we must keep in mind that they also talk about beautifying Roseau since 2014, and we have realized that Roseau, especially Bayfront area, has become the ghetto fabulous. They recently removed the ghetto fabulous there, so we want to see what exactly has happened. But they're talking about beautifying the botanical gardens, which is interesting, yet still the hospital has become some sort of botanical environment in that regard. This individual is saying this unkept state of the hospital grounds is unbelievable. An indictment of a regime that doesn't care. Does this look like the regime care about the hospital though? This is the hospital grounds, brothers and sisters. Hospital grounds. But what do we know? If the grounds are so unkept, unkept, I like the word unkept, brothers and sisters, it is no wonder that the once proud PMH is now derided as a morgue-pital. I guess this is probably where they put in certain animals. We'll talk about animals in a while, brothers. Yes, we will talk about that in a while. That's what has happened when people are led by those who lack self-respect and vision. No, they lack vision as well. And self-discipline, that they lie and cheat constantly at will, not by force, you know. They just lie just like that because it sounds nice and the people might end up swallowing it. What do you expect? This individual is saying right there. Meanwhile, the First Lady and her court of jesters wear expensive, funny hats in Parliament and expensive brooches. Chanel, I was told, I'm not too sure about Chanel, brothers and sisters. In a country that is doing probably one of the worst or the poorest, well, not one of the poorest, but is the poorest in the OECS. Interesting stuff right there. And the lead clown dwells in a $64,000 per month. I just don't know. $64,000 per month for him to stay in a mansion and he have his home in Vegas. Okay? There are people, I did the calculations the other day there, on the amount of money that is being owed by the Prime Minister where students are not able to get their graduation certificates, or they are not able to get their transcripts if they want to continue. So it's as if they never went to school in the first place, you know. I don't really understand, but he's getting paid $64,000, yet still has a number of monies owing Grambling University and the MSU Midwestern University. And it's also interesting that an individual tried to help, and it's by human beings or something else. There's an individual who tried to help. I tried to tell individuals based on what the Prime Minister them is not able to do. If the individuals, the students themselves can help themselves by acquiring work permits. And you know, there were people fighting against. People were fighting against that way. Talking about, oh, why doesn't the law firm do it for free? Hey, everything in life is not free now. We too greedy sometimes. We too greedy, and individual is helping you guys out. Have depleted the pricing, which I indicated in the yellow thing, stating the normal pricing per session is $150 US. She brought it down to $25, and individuals are still out there vexing with the probability. Well, go somewhere else now and see how much it costs. Okay? People are still out there vexing with the fact that she charges $25 for this session. It's interesting, man. It's very interesting. But, of course, you know, sometimes we are our own problems. We are our own difficulties, brothers and sisters. We are our own downfall. We are our own. So immediately individuals are they buying all sorts of things and they cannot pay for a session that will help them work or gain work based of hardship in the Commonwealth of Dominica. I mean, Well, anyways, meanwhile, the First Lady and her court of jesters wearing expensive funny hats. They're building a new what do you call that again? A new mansion that is bigger than the rest of them, brothers and sisters, based on what I saw. But of course, they are wearing expensive things. They have expensive jewelry. And the Lee Klong dwells in what? A $64,000 per month palace rented from his business partner and charged to the Dominican Treasury right there. While our country goes to seeds. Look there, our countries eating that, you know. Yes, man. At least we are grass. We can feed the cattle and them, okay? At least we can. They say, look at, Mr. Leaks, you have to look at the positive. We can feed the cows. We can feed the cows, man. Put some cows there and let them eat. Ah, yes. And then Christmas time coming and you know we have beef to eat. Yes, man. They cannot properly tend the grounds of the National Hospital, but they know, but they now want to build a concrete heaven on earth in our Dominica Botanical Gardens. But what do I know? I don't know much. But it's also rather interesting, brothers and sisters, as I'm seeing this there. Individuals have been making the statements, and I must make mention that this was actually part of it right there. National Park, for those of you who didn't know, it was actually there, okay? Part of the things that they wanted to do, and of course, you know. But anyways, let's continue, brothers and sisters. There's a bit of an issue that is going on. As I remember this thing, I remember this thing right there. And this was actually in the north of Dominica. I think this is the Cuban frog right there. Forestry and Wildlife Division come and control these upsetting creatures. They have infested Hillsborough Gardens and environment. And guess what, brothers and sisters? They might end up into the botanical gardens and end up into the national parks and so forth. If you were passing in Kempinski, when Kempinski was Kempinski in Portsmouth, brothers and sisters, before it became intercontinental, you would realize when you're passing on the road, you will see a set of frogs and they sung ugly. My God! That is some ugly voice. You know? Them frogs singing ugly. My goodness. They're looking ugly and singing ugly. And it's pick your battle now, please. You cannot sing ugly and looking ugly at the same time. And they just grow big. They seem to grow big too. And of course, they were telling the individuals that in Portsmouth, they were telling folks, hey, something needs to be done about this frog infestation. Nothing was done. No, look it in Forestry. Look it in Hillsborough. Hillsborough Garden, look at there, brothers and sisters. And on the basis of this, individuals have been making this statement stating, if you see it, take it out. Adults capture and so you can pretty much take it out with bleach. And what? The tadpole, what is, let me look, by the way, look at there. You see how big that thing is? Okay, let me just continue a bit up there so you guys can pretty much see. If you see it, take it out, brothers and sisters. Adults capture and take out, brothers and sisters, with bleach, the tadpoles. I mean, we put commas and alas. we need to go back to hooked-on phonics because apparently our structure is not there. But anyways, brothers and sisters, if you see it, take it out. Adults captured can be taken out with bleach. The tadpoles, protect your eyes. I guess they jump in your eyes and so I don't know if that is the case. Not for them not jumping in people's eyes, in the right set of people's eyes for them to do something about it. But you know what they say, brothers and sisters? We'll get to what they say in a while. These are the Cuban tree frogs right there. They get to be big. They just grow big, brothers and sisters. Big. Yes, man. I have a pellet and I've taken out a few of them. Some of them, their skin hard. So the pellet just bouncing off them. You have to use the right set of pellet to penetrate them. Boy, I tell you, that is something else. Eh? Yes, man. But anyways, so they made a Facebook post. This individual who brought this forth made a Facebook post. And this is what he said. Right there. There is not much. It's there. T-H-E-R-E. There is ownership. Okay? Their bike. Alright, brothers and sisters. There is not much forestry can do. It's an invasive species. And your area has the right condition for breeding and living. L-I-V-I-N-G. Lord, only thing you may have to do is quiver them with what you can. Well, quiver them when you come in, pretty much come into contact with. Sooner or later, we just have to adapt and leave them around us. I've heard that they can be a bit dangerous. I don't know if that is 100% correct, but I would not advise you go and touch them, okay? So this individual has a right question to ask. So you mean to tell me a whole forestry division don't have any chemicals that they can provide to these citizens if they don't want to do it themselves, but to provide to the people to spray their surroundings to ensure that these things do not keep breeding, the breeding areas to eventually control the breeding of these creatures. Remember, they was in Portsmouth. I didn't see them anywhere else, but apparently they're traveling to the point where they are in Hillsborough. But of course, it's over Dominica we want them to go, so we're not doing nothing. Anyways, brothers and sisters, they try to control the breeding of these creatures. Big question mark. Well, best God come for his world, we. You mean to tell me you cannot do something? So if you had poisonous creatures out there, this pretty much makes me understand why our banana industry failed for so long. Because other countries face the same black sikatoka, or whatever you're calling it. They face the same trouble, brothers and sisters. Yet still they solve their problem much faster than Dominica. To the point where they were exporting bananas to the United Kingdom and to Florida. Really, guys? St. Lucia clear out their bananas, we? St. Lucia is the sister island to Dominica. St. Lucia also face black sikatoka. I should tell you the kind of people that seems to be in positions are incompetent to do their jobs. Mesami, you can't tell me you try to prevent this from happening. You wait for it to spread all over the place. It might be too late, brothers and sisters. Kind of like the seed. You see, like how the Prime Minister is today, brothers and sisters. He's a tree now, so it's hard to get him out. You know, it's the people that need to have the power to take the axe to cut down the tree. When he could have just plucked out the seed. Pluck it out, or the seedling, you see what he can do, it looking like he crazy. Pluck it out, brothers and sisters. Wait for it to get hard. Wait for the frogs to spread all over. You think? They know, apparently. I don't know if they plan to leave this thing there so it can just contaminate and destroy plants. I don't know. I haven't heard anybody complaining about it destroying lively you know, vegetation or nothing like that. But they tend to eat these kind of things. Maybe they're good for mosquitoes. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these guys? So this is another one right there, brothers and sisters. It's indicating right there. Ross started 8 years. No, you mean Ross started with 8 students in 1979. 40 years later, brothers and sisters. Well, not 40 years, about 44 years later. 1979 to now is about 44 years later, brothers and sisters. 44 years later, well, they stopped in 2018. So 39 years later, you know, you're all right. 39 years later, brothers and sisters, had over 1,000 students. And there were actually more. More students wanted to come, but I think the government put a cap on it saying something about the students should not be more, the amount of students shouldn't be more than the population in Portsmouth or something like that. So they had to cap it. I remember very well. Yes, man, I remember that. Most students wanted to come. This new university starts with 9. Then Hector is saying, do the long division. Now, something is interesting. If it were the same type of system, the same type of environment, less competition, brothers and sisters, I'm expecting Ross to do very well. But what took Ross University 39 years to do in Dominica, where it has generated over 1,000 students coming per semester, or not per, yeah, no. Every like 400, sometimes 500 students who come in per semester. If that is indeed the case, brothers and sisters, that is not going to happen again, you know. You know why? Because right now, there are more schools building in the United States so that students can go. And of course, the criteria has dropped so that students are able to go, you know, and be a part of these schools. Not only that, so you have competition with the United States, but not only that, brothers and sisters, competition in the Caribbean. Remember back in the day, Ross was the only one, then SGU came in. I think Ross was the only one, then SGU. They pretty much came around the same time, but I think Ross was there a little earlier on before SGU in Grenada came about. But you have schools in Bahamas now. Remember, Ross broke up. There's a school in Bahamas. You have schools in St. Kitts. Barbados as well is going to get another school as well. So the competition is much more in the Caribbean than it was back in the day. So although Ross started with 8 students in 1979, and now in 2023, it's starting with 9 students, it's not the same, brothers and sisters. There's too much competition in the United States and too much competition in the Caribbean now, especially when it comes down to the establishment and accreditation for certain things. Yes, I understand the school has been accredited, which is a good thing, and I want the school to do very well. So kudos to that. And of course, there's a Dominican there, so I also want him to do very well. And all the students who are there as well, I want them to do very well as well, so that they can further their education and not be limited to that of just being in school and then hoping for something else to change and nothing happens as a result of going to that school. But I must make mention, brothers and sisters, regardless of this, the times are different. Things have changed to a drastic measure where it's not going to be the same like it was before. Serious competition has elevated. One of the things that I know in the United States, there's still a high demand for doctors and nurses and these kind of things there. As a result of more people, and can be an over-influx. But the way the world is going, especially when it comes onto the dollar value, man, inflation is going up, and I don't know. It doesn't look too bright. And then you have BRICS taking over, and they're warring against the United States in some regard when it comes down to the currency battle, saying that they're going to switch to their currencies and they're not going to be using the US dollar, which is going to devalue the US dollar. And all sorts of things are taking place, brothers and sisters. All sorts of strange things are taking place right there. But, that's how it goes sometimes. And of course, this brings me to my last one right there. Prime Minister Skerrit, the CARICOM chair, or chairman, says injustice is being meted out to SIDS by rich countries. What is SIDS? We're going to find out in the article right there, brothers and sisters. Dominican Prime Minister has come out swinging like he playing baseball about the unavailability of monies pledged by rich countries to SIDs, small island development states like Antigua and Barbuda, in fighting climate change. It's interesting that they're talking about climate change right here. I don't think they want to fight climate change. I just think they want to get the monies for climate change so they can do whatever they want to do right there. Will that money be coming directly to the consolidated fund? I don't know, but Prime Minister Skerrit is saying that monies that was promised as a result of climate change is not being meted out. Has not been meted out to the countries that they stated, or to the small island development states right there. However, Roselle Skerrit, the chairman of CARICOM, appears not to be optimistic that they will deliver. Well, I don't think they should deliver, because I literally explained the whole climate change vibe. A number of people are asking experts who are saying about climate change is happening and so forth and so forth. They're asking the experts how much carbon is in the atmosphere, how much carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere, and they don't seem to know. So generally speaking, understanding how carbon in the atmosphere, which you're trying to have reduction in carbon, but carbon in the atmosphere is only 2%. It's only 2%, brothers and sisters, out of 100%, 2%. That is what they're focusing on for them to talk about climate change. They said that the place is gonna be, there was gonna be global warming, brothers and sisters, and a number of persons have been pointing to a number of disasters taking place, the heightened of hurricanes and so forth. Brothers and sisters, all you have to do is do research. I mean, if I can do research and find out that there were disasters much more stronger back in the 1930s, back in the 18th centuries, there were hurricanes, brothers and sisters, that were really dangerous, much stronger than they are today. And it's interesting, they were talking about global warming. Remember when they were pushing this? Global warming is taking place, and they shifted it over to climate change, because Donald Trump apparently was right when he says that the earth is cooling. Only to find out that in Antarctica, the water is freezing and creating more land, which means that there's some sort of cooling taking place. Yet still on certain maps, you see they have Antarctica as red. You look at that carbon dioxide, brothers and sisters. Carbon dioxide is absorbed by the ocean. Yes, and is absorbed by trees. Most of the carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the ocean. The ocean is how much? 70% of the earth. 70% of the world is water. And then under that, brothers and sisters, you have the land and whatnot. But 30% is only above. So if you're looking at climate change, which is about 2% carbon dioxide, and you're trying to focus on that 2% and say, hey, this is what's going on. It's all about making money. And this is where I think Prime Minister Skerrit is coming in. Why are we talking about climate change? You're just pushing an agenda for them to continuously tax the people. Look at what took place in Maui. Well, you know what happened in Maui? Where there was a fire and they did not warn the people. But apparently, the fire came and destroyed a lot of things in Maui. Except it did not destroy the elites' buildings though. None of the elites' buildings were destroyed. But everything else was destroyed. Apparently, we heard that there's an agenda that they're trying to push. They're trying to make a smart city in Maui. And it's interesting to find out that Biden promises about $700 to the citizens with the house in Maui and this kind of things here. The house is $700. But yet still wants to send $40 billion extra to Ukraine in a war that is not their own. I just find it... Anyways, they tell me keep away from these things. I just find it interesting, brothers and sisters. The Prime Minister talking about, oh, he doesn't think that they're going to meet it right there, because I don't think that they think the Caribbean is serious about this whole climate change thing. I don't think it's necessary in the first place. Hopefully it doesn't come for me. It seems like when you go against the agenda, the same thing, they literally, I had to delete my channel because of that. And the very same things I was saying in my channels turned out to be right 2 and 3 years later. They were talking about ivermectin. If you guys know my thing, I'll post it on my Instagram. So follow my Instagram. You guys will see my Instagram. Just type in Miss Telix. If you can't spell my name, you will spell my name, you'll find me. If you type in BrBpTV, you'll also find me on Instagram. Okay, brothers and sisters, follow me on Instagram so you can get more vibrations ready. I tend to post these things out. So whereas I cannot come on YouTube and say certain things, I tend to post it on my Instagram. So I put in the evidence out there for people to see. Yes, Lord. But Prime Minister Scary is talking about the monies owed by richer countries to smaller island development states right there for this whole climate change scenario. You guys can read this thing for yourself. I think this is where I'm going to stop in this whole regard. Dominica Prime Minister said the matter is so severe that those who pledged it's all a smoke screen. All a smoke screen. We think that our leaders should have the best interests. You know our best interests? It's very clear that they have their own interests in mind and they're pushing an agenda. It's also very interesting, the people who actually know about these agendas, who speak up against it, they then try to assassinate the characters. Just like that individual, Robert F. Kennedy. They're trying to... He was talking about the same thing that I was saying, brothers and sisters, in terms of the whole Rona situation. And now they are trying to assassinate his character, even though he was correct about everything that he stated. Interesting. But they just don't want him to run on the Democratic ticket because they have their people to push their agenda. But hey, what do I know? I'm just saying my thoughts. What are your thoughts, guys? Leave your thoughts in the comment box below. I already stayed too long on this. Time for lunch, man. Time for me to get in my lunch. I'll see you guys in the next reaction video, guys. Hopefully, I'll drop another video on the Mr. Leaks reaction, guys, tomorrow. So look out for that as well. So you just get one video today, brothers and sisters. And with that said, right there, be real. With the most high step, as always, guys, definitely stay paired up and be positive.